Well, I get a lot of accusations thrown my way, and one of the ones I have to handle is clickbait, or I'm not putting out good content, etc., etc. Well, it's in the eye of the beholder, but I hate to be the guy to say this, but I told you so! I told you so, and the hits just keep on coming. So, a while ago, Nora detached herself from the Aaron Corporation/cult, and now apparently Serge is saying, bye. But before we get into it, shilling out of the way, please give the other channels a chance. Please follow me on Twitter if you can. Please consider supporting the channel via channel memberships if you want some extra tea to be spilled on the, affairs or scandals of Scientology, ex-Scientology, and other issues. Alright, let's get into it. So Serge officially on his own channel has declared, no pun intended, that he will no longer be a part of SPTV Foundation. Does this really mean anything? Not really, because SPTV Foundation itself is kind of a joke. It doesn't really meet the standards of a normal foundation in any real sense. And I've covered this before, so I'll be a little quick for the new people. The basic gist is that Aaron Smith Levin became very famous through his association with Mike Rinder and his Aftermath TV show, which broadcast. Again, a lot of these stories were true, but they were very biased. And I'm a little mixed on what the Aftermath TV show really meant. But anyway, so Aaron and Mike became famous together. Aaron had a very successful YouTube channel. It seemed for a while they were getting along, and they were both on the Aftermath Foundation, which Aaron mostly did fundraising for. And then Aaron got into a lot of scandals, and so Rinder and Claire Headley, who is the current president, decided to get rid of him. And I will still maintain the stance I had last year, and I would defend Aaron on this, that the way they did it, I don't think was proper. I think they handled it very, very badly. They could have been more transparent. But they were basically trying to cover up certain things that they did and cover up certain things he did. Now, I think overall, it's clear that Aaron could not stay on the foundation, the real foundation, because he was acting like a crazy maniac. So how does Serge fit into all this? Well, Serge has a very weird story, and there are many ways to approach it. Again, if you do believe him and sympathize, and to some degree even I sympathize, he was brought into Scientology at a very young age, and according to him, was systemically abused. Now, was he? Was he not? It's unclear. There's a lot of question marks, but definitely you can say at a certain level he was definitely victimized. He came from Mexico, and he joined the Sea Org at a very young age and became an auditor. And Serge has his theories about kids, consent, auditing, etc., etc., etc. He literally repeats himself in almost every single video, so if you want a sample of his insanity, we'll cover it later. But yeah, it's a little shaky, because after his formal affiliation, he still was a Scientologist. He decided to go to Hollywood, literally, and hung out with a lot of artists and actors, including people from the Masterson family. So we've already covered this. And Aaron, for the most part, has been based in Florida. He also technically left Scientology through the Sea Org, right? He was part of the Sea Org, he left that. He was still a Scientologist for several years, and then he hooked up with Rinder, and then we are where we are today. Now, I'm not here to praise Rinder, right? A lot of people just automatically assume he's a hero because he did speak out against Scientology, and he has done some good work. I don't think you could deny that. And I do want to push back on what Aaron and Miriam Francis and Serge have been trying to pull in the community to say that Rinder just ignored the victims who were children in Scientology. That is simply false. On his blog, in videos, in interviews, and other places, Rinder has covered these things. He has covered cases of child abuse. He has spoken to victims of child abuse. It's simply not true to say he never covered it. But nevertheless, you could say he could have made it a more central focus, or his advocacy is very hypocritical, or it's very erratic. That is definitely true. It is also true that Rinder's past, as well as present with certain ex-Scientologists, is very, very flawed. For years and years, he was gaslighting and lying about Jerry Armstrong, a genuine, real activist against Scientology, who has for years been trying to get legal help and stopping the church and their tax-exempt status. I will put a link below. It's a very good interview that Jerry did a while ago. It's still very relevant. I believe Jerry all the way. He has a lot of documentation. Still, two things can be true, that Rinder did some good, but he also did a lot of evil. And Serge is really not that much different. He was very well aware of the various scandals Aaron was involved in. As far as I know, as far as I can tell, he helped none of the victims. And his own advocacy and activism is very hypocritical and very contradictory. So he says his focus is strictly on children. He doesn't care about adults. He doesn't care about elderly abuse. So if you're 18 or older and were victimized by Scientology, he doesn't care about you. He doesn't think you're really a victim. He's not really going to focus on you at all. But then, when it's convenient, he does talk about Danny Masterson, and he does talk about the abuses that adults suffered. As far as I know, all the victims of Danny Masterson were adult women, right? These weren't underage women, as far as I know. But then he conveniently remembers all the abuse that these women have suffered and says they should be counted now. Well, which is it? Is it only children? Is it children and adult women? What exactly is the standard? And if that's the case, that adult women matter, what about the victims of Aaron? Aaron has abused and victimized several adult women. This happened very recently. Some of them have spoken out just a couple months ago. Serge didn't do anything about it. Didn't help them, as far as I know, either in public or behind the scenes. So in many ways, this is just pro forma that Serge has his own agenda and Aaron has his agenda, and apparently they're going to part ways. What's really astonishing is that only a few days ago, Aaron and Serge were speaking with one another and basically stroking each other's egos and all in on these conspiracy theories with Emily Armstrong. And again, to be fair, Serge would know a little bit more than Aaron on these things because he was based on the West Coast. He has been in Hollywood for some time. He hangs around these circles with artists, actors, and entertainers. And if you think I'm just here to hate Serge, no, this is a systemic problem. Laura FM, or Lara FM, however you want to pronounce her, admits explicitly and outright that she hung out with Danny Masterson for a long time when she was growing up in Scientology. So this is a systemic problem that these younger ex-Scientologists have tried to paint a narrative where they are the true advocates, the true activists, that their work really matters, and the work of the older people or other people does not matter. And that illusion, at least with the Aaron cult, is slowly self-destructing. The SPTV Foundation has already lost a lot of people. There are a lot of people who were associated with it, and magically they just left. Now, I can understand why some people left, like Sterling, because he seems to be a good person. It's definitely very complicated. I'm very critical of Jenna now, and listen, I don't want to have any real conflict with Sterling. That is his relative. They grew up together. They're not especially close. Sterling has kind of corrected people saying, yeah, we know each other. We're obviously family, but right, they spent some time together, but they often spent not a lot of time together. So it's very difficult in his case to speak on these issues of the corruption of the SPTV Foundation because that's his family, so he has divided loyalties. So I can understand that. But these other people, it's much less easy to feel pity for. They were definitely victims of a kind, and they definitely suffered greatly. On the other hand, they've often used their victimization as a shield to get away with a lot of questionable activities, raise money under false pretenses, and really misguide people. Now again, I'm not here to say the SPTV Foundation did nothing good. Apparently, Aaron did do some good things. He gave money to Liz Ferris. Apparently, he's given money to Miriam Francis. Apparently, the SPTV Foundation has been very friendly to certain people in the ex-Scientology community. But that's kind of tautology. In other words, if you're a friend or ally of Aaron, he's going to treat you very good. But if you're not a friend or ally of Aaron, he's going to treat you very badly and go after you. So if you're coming in totally new, you might be like, what exactly did this guy do to get people so riled up? Again, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I've already done this several times, but one of the more notorious incidents is when he was running for political office. Keep this in mind. Yeah, he was trying to get political power in Florida, and he got it into his crazed head to get to a bar, right? And he saw a girl he knew from Scientology and decided to approach her when her boyfriend was there. And to put it mildly, a massive ruckus ensued, and he got hit physically. They left. The police came in. It was a big brouhaha and was captured on tape. Yes, you can Google this and find it for yourself. So we're going to play a little part of that tape on another channel, SPTV Foundation. It's kind of a parody channel, but it does very good work on this, exposing Aaron. So let's just listen to some of the madness that Aaron was involved in.
She brought up something that happened 18 months ago. Where while I was really drunk, I sent her a bunch of Facebook messages. Like, what do you want me to say? I don't know. She's super hot. I'm sorry.
But she was trying to de-escalate, and so was the boyfriend. Until he did it the fifth time, the guy sent him out.
The word is that you didn't just say her she was crazy, but I heard, you slipped out a couple of, really bad words to this girl.
Like, to the girl?
To the girl.
Oh, I wasn't even talking to the girl. I was talking to the guy next to me.
Aaron was technically on the Aftermath Foundation at the time, and that's an organization that's supposed to help victims, and they get a lot of sensitive information. Who wanted to start dating and presumably have a sexual affair with a woman actively in Scientology. She's still a Scientologist. And currently she's hooked up with Hulk Hogan. Like, yeah, it gets more weird, more bizarre and silly. And I will defend Aaron on one point. He tried to contact this woman through Facebook. A lot of people just label him a predator through that. Now, I don't agree. You can contact people. You can even follow people. That is not stalking. And technically, he was not stalking her. He was just approaching her. So I think they're going a little overboard. Again, we don't want to just give false accusations for no reason. I think also people are stretching the word stalking to include everything. That is not what stalking is. It has a definition. May not be a good definition in the law, but there is a definition. But even if Aaron was not strictly speaking doing anything illegal by approaching this woman who was with a boyfriend at the time, it was incredibly unwise and radically inappropriate. If you're a part of a foundation to help victims, what are you doing? And it gets even more ugly and bizarre. Wait, how did you follow her on Facebook? How did you even know about this? That's a whole other mess. Apparently, he was taking advantage of an ex-Scientologist who's a woman. This woman is very well known. I don't want to just get into it for no reason. But anyway, we'll keep it vague. So basically, he knows that woman and apparently was just using her to get a database of women. So it's just really grotesque on many levels. Again, it's not illegal. Aaron should be focused on stopping Scientology and helping victims. Clearly, he's not. Now, if Aaron wants to live a kind of puff daddy life, listen, it's a free country. He can't stay on a foundation dedicated to helping victims. That's just crazy. Aaron just put everyone in a really bad situation by doing activities, we're going to leave it vague, that clearly would have reflected poorly on the foundation and would have harmed its fundraising, would have really crippled the central mission of the foundation. Now, this is not, Claire Headley is very talented, she's very beautiful, she's a very effective speaker. There's a lot of things to admire about Claire. However, Claire is not perfect, and the Aftermath Foundation has its own scandals and problems. The Aftermath Foundation has no less than 3, yes, count them, 3 married couple on its board of directors. So there is just corruption all around, and Serge is no different. So I guess this tactic to distance himself from Aaron, even though they just spoke to one another a few days ago, if, however, he does not want to associate with SPTV Foundation, I will respect his wishes. So from now on, I will not link him formally to Aaron through the SPTV Foundation. Now, Nora went much further, saying that Aaron and her are not friends. I don't know if Aaron and Serge are still friends. Maybe that's a different matter. They're so friendly with one another. This is just a formal disagreement. He can't keep this formal post. But I would suspect that the scandals of Aaron just keep getting bigger and bigger. And Serge does not want to lose any credibility. He wants to maintain his own status within his own cult. So from an expert point of view, and I am an expert on cults, and people may not believe that, but I am, what is happening here is what happened with Scientology in the 1980s when the structure kind of broke apart with Hubbard dying and little cults. This is just basically big cult breaking down into little cults. Aaron has his cult. Apparently Serge wants his cult as well, but he wants it to be more pure or whatever, more activist-oriented than even Aaron, and I think that's all that's happening. It's really just a lot of shell games occurring here. But still, maybe Serge did see the light and saw that Aaron is not exactly the nice blue panda he keeps selling himself off as. We'll have to wait and see. This is definitely a lot of hypocrisy, especially Serge criticizing Emily Armstrong for being corrupt and fooling people, and he does the same thing. But we'll have to wait and see how this develops. It's a very incredible story all around, and I am here for it and mocking both sides because, yeah, for a long time they were gaslighting me and a lot of other people saying, Aaron, corrupt? Cult? No! What's the evidence? Well, he keeps losing friends and associates from this allegedly good foundation, which is not a real foundation, not recognized by the IRS, and we should definitely be skeptical of what their activities are in reality.
Brought up something that happened 18 months ago. Where while I was really drunk, I sent her a bunch of Facebook messages. Like, what do you want me to say? I don't know. She's super hot.